So here in section 7.3, we started talking, we'll start talking about these weighted voting systems. So that's what the Electoral College is. The Electoral College here is the most common example of a weighted voting system. In that voting system here, each voter is the state and it has a different number of votes. It has 2 senators. Every state has 2 senators. That's equal. But then the number of representatives, they get 1 electoral vote for each representative, and that depends on population. So these are proportional number of votes. So that is a weighted voting system where the states are the voters. And the weight is the number of votes that they get. So the smallest states have 2 senators, 1 representative. They could have only 3 votes in the Electoral College. The largest state is California, and it's in the 50s. I think it's something like 56. So I think they have like 2 senators and 54 representatives, or for a total of 56. So they get the 56 votes out of the total number of electoral votes. So let's do some definitions here, and then we'll work some examples. The power is the influence that a voter has on the election here. So that, again, what is influence? Well, the sway they have over the results here. We'll make this more specific here in a minute. The quota is the minimum number of votes to win, minimum to win. So in Electoral College, you need 270 to win. So Electoral College here, our quota is 270. And you've probably seen that on election night, 270 to win. Each candidate is trying to get their 270 votes. The weight here is just the number of votes that a voter gets. So anywhere from 3 up into the 50s for Electoral College. Now a dictator here is a voter whose weight is greater than or equal to the quota. So if there was one state in the U.S. that had large enough population that it had 270 votes, then whoever won that state would win the entire national election. Now there is no state like that, which is good. So no dictator states in the U.S. Let's look at some simple examples here. Oh, and then a dummy here. A dummy is a voter whose vote has no influence on the election. So it's like they may have a positive number of votes, like 1 or 2, but there's no scenario where they could help anybody win or withhold their vote to make them lose. So let's look at some examples here, and it'll make this a little clearer. We've got a small business partnership. It's got 2 people here, 60% ownership for one, and then 40% for the other. And then majority is needed for a measure to pass. So first, we want to represent that weighted voting system. So you first list your quota. So 60% plus 40%, that's 60 out of 100, 40 out of 100. So there's 100 votes total. Majority is needed to pass. A majority would be 51. And then, so that's the quota. We call that Q. And then you put a colon, and then you put the number of votes for voter 1 and voter 2. So voter 1 has 60 out of 100 votes, and then voter 2 has 40 out of 100. And then you close it up with a square bracket. So this is voter 1, V1, and voter 2, V2. Are there any dictators? Well, you only need 51 votes to pass something. Voter 1 has 60 votes. So whatever they vote, it doesn't matter what voter 2 does. Whatever they vote, 60 is greater than equal 51. So they determine whether something passes or doesn't. So yes, there is a dictator. Voter 1, since 60 is greater than or equal to 51. So that's dictators. Are there any dummies? Yeah, voter 2 is a dummy. So yes. Voter 2, since it doesn't matter what they do, everything is determined by voter 1. Okay, so this is since voter 1 determines the outcome, Doesn't matter what they do, because they are a dictator. Let's look at another example with more voters. Here we've got 5 shareholders, and they've got 44%, 44,822 of the stock. So that's 44 votes out of 100, 44,822, and 2 out of 100. Majority is needed to pass. So represent the weighted voting system. So we first do the quota. There's 100 votes total because we're talking percents. Majority would be just more than half. So again, 51. And then voter 1 here gets 44 votes. Voter 2 also gets 44 votes. Voter 3 gets 8 votes. Voter 4 and 5 both get 2. So 2, 2, and that's voter 4 and voter 5. So you don't have to write the V's up above and the quota. I'm just trying to remind you what those numbers mean. So are there any dictators here? Well, the highest number of votes is 44. That's not greater than equal 51. So no dictators, no, because voter 1 equals 44 votes, which is less than 51. You need 51 votes to pass anything. So voter 1 can't do it by themselves. Are there any dummies? Anyone whose vote doesn't matter? So, well, we got to get up to 51 here. So if you put voter 1 and 2 together, they have 88, so they could pass. And that doesn't use the 2s. Is there some way where we would need the 2s? So dummies, you always look at the smallest numbers first, so see if they're dummies. With dictators here, you always look at the largest numbers first. So what if we did, let's see, if we did voter 1 and voter 3, that would be 52, which is greater than 51. So the 2s are not needed. Well, let's see, if we didn't use one of voter 1 and voter 2, we'd have 8, 10, 12 votes, which is not enough to pass. So it looks like if you put any combination, any 2 out of the 3 from voter 1, 2, and 3, you get something passing, and 4 and 5 are not needed. So yes, there are dummies here, voter 4 and voter 5. They're both dummies. Their 2 votes are not needed because you can pass anything with just 2 out of the 3.